Thank you very much, Lyndon and Rosanna, for bringing us here for this beautiful presentation. And okay, we look forward for it. Ricardo, yes.
Yes, thank you so much. We are very glad to be here today with you all. Thank you for coming. And yes, we met Lyndon and Rosanne this last Biennale. We were also impressed and very stimulated by their work, by their presentation, which in a way we think has lots of points in common. We were, the Biennale was this year was dedicated, one of the themes or the subjects of the Biennale this year by Leslie Loco curated was how we would deal with decarbonization, with the problem of decarbonization. So we thought that we had to work or to show in a way to discuss or to show our work on adaptive reuse, but to put it on the tables as a question, as a laboratory of for discussion. And then also Leslie said that we were going to be in an area called workshop in the Arsenale. So we thought to bring the work of our studio in a way that is in our office. So with the tables, with the problems on them, with material unfinished and complete, with process material, with the table as the protagonist, where all the drawings lay, your models lay, the books, you know, the problems, or your head is there, surrounded by books, by your drawings, but in a way, your table is a reflection of your head, and you're constantly spending the day there with these discussions and with your team, but also spending hours and hours trying to move on with your material at site. So we thought that this was a bit the way that we wanted to move on into the Biennale. They are trying to bring this atmosphere of the office where you sometimes bring up pin up some material out of the table to have more room to draw again. So you bring it around. So the office as a workshop, as a place to test, to move on with the material, but testing, failing, all the questions that it opens. But also in the office we have sometimes we build containers when we finish projects. We contain them all in these trunks with wheels, so that they explain in a way the story of the project. They try to explain all the stories that the project is about, and so also is able to move away and just be stored and move from the place and leave room for other things, and also to be presented somewhere, or also with the models with the legs that they can promenade and walk, and in a way move into the Biennale like they've been. So the Biennale was about bringing all these elements, the trunks, the models with the legs, the tables, the photographs hanging from the height of the Arsenale. One of the things of the Arsenale, you know, is very, very high. Is 7 meters of height. So one of the big problems was how to lay from the tables, that the tables were something that the curator was going to give you. So you had not to worry about the tables, but they were very low in relation to the Arsenale. So how to move up? So we started to think in how to rise that or bring down the scale from that mezzanine, which is 7 meters of height. So we started to think in hanging some of the images, like when you have them around in your office, you have lots of things hanging, like if your head is there, in a way, references, projects of the past, of things that you think, or that things could be, other reference, other authors, etc. They are like your, angels that are around you, or ghosts, from past projects that accompany you and allow you to move on. But the important thing was to be close to the pillars. Also, the pillars were the moment where the things could rise up and connect. So the tables that they were giving us were grouped in 2 or 3, and then very close to the pillars. The pillars were the references, and then there was these tall legs. The first time we were trying to do tall legs with models on top, so that they were walking, but with very long legs to, in a way, rise up. It's again the scale. So we had all these elements all together: the models, the drawings, the pillars. Everything was moving together. Another thing we wanted to present in this Biennale in a more extensive way was our work with films. We had been working a lot with films since the beginning of our website, so 15, 16 years ago, a bit more. And the films are always related to something, some projects, some element. For example, in this case, it is this little pop-up that we did when we finished the Sala Beckett project. It was a present, a gift to the director of the Sala Beckett, who have been so supportive and accompanying us all the time. So the little pop-up is this represents the spatial condition of Sala Beckett, this continuity of walls overlapping and all these activities going on simultaneously, but at the same time has this condition of this element that opens up, and then the magic of the theater appears. And when it closes, everything is away, you know. It's this ephemeral condition of the theater is there. And so we thought, okay, let's project all these actions on it. Let's make it more than an object. Let's make it, let's activate this little pop-up into something that is moving, contains movement on it. So let's project many footage of different actions and situations that happen in Sala Beckett on this element, but then how they could be in different moments in the film, appearing and disappearing, the actions, like when you go to the place. But then in relation to Arsenal, again, we had to blow up this pop-up a lot to be able to match the scale of the place. So we started to think how big it should be, how the projection could be. That's Johnny, our collaborator, specialized in its films, and which in fact are stop motions. And then, so the Biennale is this thing that when it comes is like a tsunami, you know, it comes in the office and everything gets upside down. Everything turns the Biennale somehow. So the pop-up is there, the model is there, the drawings, the dragons, the pictures, everything that will go is in the middle until you put into boxes and goes into the place, to Venice. And the other end of the office, we were trying how to deal with these tables. The tables they were giving us, we thought, let's make a little skirt so that the drawings could be like folding out, like when you have them in your studio and they are too big and you have too many and they come out, so they overflow the space of the drawing. So, but before going to Venice, we thought, let's try in the most similar scale in Barcelona. We have this factory space where we can keep models and trunks. Let's try to reproduce the space. This is 5 meters. It's not 7, but it's quite big anyway. So we thought, let's try to bring all these elements there and see how they match and how they work. It was very interesting. The trunks, we thought, let's bring them up into, instead of the wheels, let's bring them up into legs so people can look at them, and through them they can see other projects. It was like, in a way, trying to, for the first time, to test all these elements. And then we were kind of inside this collage of different projects, like the Mills Museum, matching Sala Beckett, matching Utes, matching La Favorita. Everything was connected. But at the same time, we were trying this table where the projection to the big pop-up was going to happen. So the model of the Sala Beckett was there, also broken up, and all these tests. No, so at the end, then you see, the proposal was like bringing all the atmosphere of the office, bringing your head there, and proposing a working space, a place for reflection and discussion with open material, no closed material, nothing finished, not solutions, but opening questions there. We call this proposal emotional heritage because, of course, we want to talk about what we inherit and how we will work with what we inherit, but not just the physical heritage, also the invisible, all the intangible, the emotional that contains the ruins, and are there waiting for us, and seeing how we're going to bring them forward and use it as much as the physical. They are many times more important than the physical heritage that you get. So how we were going to deal with that, which is our responsibility now. So all this material, process drawings and models and all that was a way to open this discussion. And so everything was there, and the dragons as well that are a company in our office had to be there, of course. And the long legs were like this kind of promenade in that wall. And at a certain point, then we decided also that the different groups of tables will have different projects. So we brought 6 projects, and then they were like dealing with different interests or subjects that have come through the years. So the first one, the first table that we deal with, we call it Drawing with Time. And to represent that was the Mills Museum in Mallorca.
We choose the Mills Museum for this table, for the drawing with time. And we brought a lot of process models that we had. Even in one of them, the biggest one, that was a study of the skylights. We projected the video that we made, also with Johnny, that is the video you can see in our webpage. And we wanted all very, very, very physical. So this was a way also having videos in it, but very much embedded in this physical world. We had drawings like this that you can touch and see, and some of them were in transparent paper. This project for us was one of our first projects, and it was a laboratory to deal with natural light. This is the definition, the geometrical definition of a kind of a bottle that will collect light. Ricardo is here trespassing these measurements on the wall. And because the interest is that, all the different holes that we found in this museum could be used for organizing the sequence inside of it. And we wanted the light to get inside the museum, but not in the main bolt. You will see how it is, the structure of this old machine. If not, to keep it sometimes in the chapels, to keep it close to the walls before the light gets into the main space. So this is the windmill is in Mallorca. It's an island that you need a plane. It's half-an-hour trip, very short trip, but you always panic because it's not something that you have nearby. So I remember this model is the night before flying. We thought, okay, this is quite complex geometry. Let's build something very quickly. And this is there is a funnel on top. This is a fragment of the bolt, and you can see that the light will go through here into this shell that we were working. So this was very useful for the constructor. He understood it perfectly. The funnel that you have seen in the model is this one. Is getting as much light as he can and concentrate it into a point before letting inside this old machine of the windmill. This terrace became also public space. It's a very small neighborhood, a former fisherman's neighborhood. You see the scale of the houses. So this terrace is an important area for them to be. Also, when we look at it from above, here is the square. This is a protected part that you can walk, but we see that people also jumps here. And this is a water depot that we found and we could use also for the museum, and organize a small bar with a bench here. So we were very interested that this hermetic square building becoming a public building will need to have some echo outside to have a present, to be presented as a public space that it is. So it has this square in the front, that is a square that the locals who live there can meet the tourist people, the visitors that walk around here, because this is a cliff facing the sea, the Bay of Palma. So there are these two different people that can meet, the tourist visitors and the locals, and share this space. We knew this map, this drawing. This was before we started working with this machine. The machine had stopped working like 200 years ago, and some families had been occupying it with different houses, but there was a lot of people. There were even families that could enter the mill to go out again into a courtyard and have two different families sharing this patio. So we thought it was a very interesting situation. Also, it could have been for a museum, because museums usually need more dependency. But when we start working with it, the decision was that it was going to its original machine shape, square. The base was a storage. The column had the two stones to mash the grain to make flowers that was moving through the wind. Okay, so we need to use something to the toilets and bar outside of it, because we thought the same museum, the same windmill was a museum. So we decided for this door, there will be an itinerarium and going here. And the sequence will be made with the help of the different holes of these houses that you have seen. So in fact, when we look at this drawing, we see the drawing of the machine that was, of all the different holes and doors that these people were opening in it, and later help us in this sequence, and the transformation we have done afterwards. if we open the model of this, at 1 to 50 model of this project, you see that all the effort is in the perimeter. So all the effort is in this trespass because there's a strong light outside and you have to get used. It's like when you enter into a church, you have to get used to the darkness of the interior. So everything is on the walls, and here is very little, no? Only you see that at the end there is a sunken level. It's a small auditorium. So you see here we were using a former chimney and a window. The window is up here. It's like a mailbox, so the light comes here, but you don't see where the light comes from. This is a platform to support some exhibition. You see the thickness of walls and thickness of roofs. This is where we were working. In all this thick 80 centimeters of thickness, a very primitive building, very beautiful to work with. And once you were inside, you see that it looks like the walls are even thicker. It seems like you have a mountain on top of you. It's really dense. And you see the light, but you don't know where it's coming from. So this is the atmosphere we wanted to bring to this primitive space again. So in Biennale, we collect these light wells models, drawings, the photograph. And next to this table that was the reflections were laying on a paper, not this reflection on drawing with time. There was another one that we dedicate to the right to inherit. That is something that also came out by working on these existing buildings. That you think, okay, let's say that every generation has a right to inherit what comes from the previous one and adapt it to the new necessities. But of course, this right also comes with a responsibility, because a lot of buildings cannot accept certain decisions, certain programs, because of his physicality. They will fall, or they will lose a lot of qualities, but also for the emotional, the intangible charge, the emotional charge that kind of avoids all these changes. And made them very difficult. So in the right to inherit, we had 2 projects. One of them is in Mallorca. It's the renovation of an old aristocratic house into a museum. A lot of the material was in these containers that Ricardo was explaining. Also some fragment models of it, because there was one dedicated of the cupola, how to make the union, you will see, of an existing dome with the rest of the courtyard, kind of a geometric enigma that made us produce a lot of models that previously were in this old cupboard that we found in the apartment that we occupy as a studio. And when we had time, we made one of these containers. That went to Venice. So this X-ray drawing explains very clear what the project was about in this aristocratic house. The place needed an exhibition space that we decided to put on the ground floor level, and needed a new vertical circulation shaft because the house had been grown for 10 centuries. There were slightly different levels. There were rooms that you could not reach. So there is a new staircase with a lift that has light in it also, that makes the building function more efficiency. And there is the dome of the main staircase that also is the piece that helps us organize all the level under the roof. The level under the roof was an empty space. It was just a buffer, a pillow against the climate, against the heat in summer, with a lot of ventilation, cross ventilation in it. And so this big palace was mainly built, you enter through the courtyard, take the staircase. It was mainly built for this plan. This was the level where the family lived. The staircase you see there is a service staircase. So we have to organize this space under the roof for offices space. And as you enter the building and you take the main staircase, you look up, there is a dome. And there now, this is after the intervention, there is something there on top that you guess something has happened into it. This was how we found it. The top of this staircase was just this lantern. The light was coming straight to the staircase. This is the way they finished this palace. No, there is a courtyard. This was the geometric joint between the dome and the rest of the palace that was not yet solved, and the water was getting in. This is where we had to work. We dismantled this roof. We keep the tiles, the wooden structure that we could reuse again. But we decided that before the light will come down to lead the staircase, it will stay for a while at this level. Also, there will be some chambers of light that will help us orientate in the different rooms that we have around it. Also, because you will see the geometry is very different. So there are rooms very, very long. This side that became the back side when they made the big extension of the courtyard was very well back connected. So we have this very big room, the triangular room, and the dome is in the middle. So we thought the dome was an interesting element to keep it seeing when you promenade along this. So this is along the roof level. This is a service staircase arriving, but also in the vestibule, you see part of it. When you get into the office space, even you can get into this dome and you can promenade through it. Through it, you can get up to the terrace, so you can go down to the oldest fragment of the building. That is this triangular room that is a very private office now. But you see that the light is one of the work. Even part of the dome has been left exterior. So this was the main intensity of this space made by the use of light and by the kind of giving more importance to an element that was just a construction shell from this side and suddenly became an active part in this level. The other work we did, here we work with light very horizontally. Here we were working with light very vertical. There are different skylights attached to the new staircase that leave light to different levels. When you get out into the terrace, you are kind of protected through two of these skylights. There are a few of them, it's 1, 2, 3 here, 4, and they give light under, but they also made this landscape in this terrace. Here there is a lecture room, so after the lecture, people can go out for a drink. And the staircase is a complete element built out of the same material. We use concrete to make it all in one piece, so it's very monolithic. And when arriving into the terrace, the staircase even continue until the top of the lecture room. So it's a density of skylights also on staircases that you can see. There are some shapes here. So you are here in the higher level, even the light is quite low. And then when you open the door, you will be in the terrace. And here there is more light than when you are in the top level, and the light goes down in parallel to the concrete, like sharing the space among them. This staircase arrives to the ground floor level, where the exhibition space is and when the main entrance to this now cultural center is. So when I was talking about right to inherit, you think, okay, this building with this beautiful courtyard need a exhibition space. And then how you make this new room, we decided to use the darker corner of this patio, and we work with it until we thought that this was something that was a transformation of the existing. So trying to have a balance with what is there and what we add, but that they look from the same family in a way. It's an exhibition space also of 2 levels. We brought some of the models of this exhibition space in the Biennale on this table, as you see, also full of drawings that you can lift and look. And it shares the table with another project we are working now at the moment in Barcelona. It's an industrial building in the east part of town, in the grid. It's an industry called La Favorita. The favorite will become an office space. You see there are different tests of models, small models, but also drawings of the site and drawings of the trees. In Barcelona, the trees we have in front of the office and the trees in front of this building, we share the same grid and we share the same trees. The trees is a decision of the engineer who built the grid, and these are platanus. We have seen them also in Shanghai in the French concession. They lose the leaves in winter, so they allow the light to get in and heat the houses, but they have very big leaves in summer, so they make the promenade to the streets much gentle. And they are important for us because we have a low building that has permitted these platanus develop very well. You see this also we have is a corner. It's very nice, very public. We have this corner to work with. The state of the buildings is quite precarious, but you see there is the beginning of a facade here in the corner that continues to the other street that is more longer. Something that is quite common and surprising is that from this building, only this part of the facade, not all of it, this part is protected. And but the way we understand it is kind of different, because also for us, what is interesting of these industrial ensembles is that it looks impossible to work under when you see them from above, because it seems that how they breathe or how they take the light, but from under is completely different situation. I mean, they're amazing, high, tall, well-lit and well-ventilated spaces. And for us, the heritage is mainly this. In a density like Barcelona, to have this volume of air to go to work is something really precious. So we want to keep all this volume. We want to use it with this horizontal light, with the vertical light, and not only working with this fragment of the facade that is a protected one. So the proposal is growing on top of it in one part with a taller building, but in a recess plane on the rest, and it's dealing with until the corner. It works all of it like in a balance. So the project recognizes the whole industrial ensemble as a unity. We will enter from the corner. That was not the main entrance. And as you will enter the corner, just looking through the corner, you will see it's a very long passage from the corner. You will promenade towards your working space. In between this dense construction of industries, the neighbors are very close to one another. And there will be staircase, skylights, until you get into your working space. And the roofs will be distributed all along this plot, all along the property in an equal way. Because also there is one heritage that we were very interested in keeping, and that it's this, what happens in this Poblenou, in this industrial district of Barcelona, is that being the industry is lower, the amount of sky you see is huge. And also we are very near to the sea. So there's this beautiful mist. The light is slightly different from other parts of town. And for us, this was something, it was also heritage, public heritage, and we wanted to keep it. That's the reason we start growing, letting the branches of the tree develop as they have been doing until now, not having to cut it, but also because the street will get much more light and will keep this beautiful atmosphere that it has now. We are 300 meters from the coast in this building. There is the last subject. No, it's not the last subject. No, it's not the last subject. There is another reflection that we put on the tables to discuss. It was a reflection we gave when drawing with these buildings that we found in a very bad state. And we thought that they give us an open condition to our thought, to reflect that each one of us, when entering into one of these buildings, there is something that will resonate with your memory. Also, we are interested in these rundown buildings because they don't show you exactly one period or the other what happened here. This is a building built in the 30s in Brussels that was converted into a cinema in the 60s that later was occupied and burned down. It loses a lot of the decoration, but here everything appears with a unity and kind of calm, waiting to someone to make something for it. And there is an institution that makes social work in Brussels called Bruxelles Laïque, who is interested in this building to organize a festival, a musical festival that also brings money to develop their social work. This theater, this huge space, is in such a dense small streets in the old town of Brussels, and the flight tower is this one, is the party wall of a huge hotel, and the building, the old theater, has two facades. One is this one of brick, and the other one we almost cannot see is this white line you see here in the picture. So when we entered the building and having the brief of the competition in mind, we realized that they were talking about a formal space, a space that could be almost like public piazza, where everyone could enter and without a ticket to the concert, promenade. And we thought this had the dimension of a public space. The only thing missing was having natural light in it. This is the main section. So we thought, okay, this flight tower will be converted in a huge skylight, and we will keep this part and we will organize the small room that 400 people can be standing up and the big room for 1,000 people as this will be like the floor of the space and this will be the ceiling of it. But all this space of the existing building will remain there and also will have connection with this place where the old bar called Baghdad of the theater will be here. You can see it in the model. So there is this big volume, but all the promenade from the city here inside will invite people, and the skylight will lit the whole scenario, kind of attracting you to go in. So this is the invitation, this kind of inner street that you will go in, you will see the light here, and then you will have the opportunity to go out again. There is one exit straight, and there is a second exit. There is a smaller street here, but we have a neighbor that is important to collaborate. That is another national theater, and they preview collaborations among them. So it's interesting also this connection from this side. This is the same level work out after we have managed to put a huge lorry here that the musicians will come with a company with everything, and they need to park here for a while. But we keep this shortcut and another shortcut in this, sorry, in the ground floor level. No. Okay. So there was this drawing, we made it, we make this work with West Architecture, our partners, and we made this to discuss about the materiality of it. Because in this case also, there is this idea of heritage that only the white facade is protected, the rest could be turned down. And we thought that we already have, but we want to keep as much of this building as we can. So, but we have a white building that is getting inside. We have the concrete seats there also, and we have the brick building of the flight tower, and they all meet on this scenario. So it was like, let's start talking about the materiality of it, but let's see first how much materiality we have. The flight tower, we draw it, it's an amazing palimpsesto of histories of things around it. So we will keep this color here. We will keep the gray of the seats, the white of the facade. And then we think about how in the sequence of color will be the main room. And also the main room and all the promenade through the building should be very, very intuitive. But in fact, to have all these 1,000 people on this, the big room, as they call it, requires a lot of air, pumping a lot of air, changing air, also a lot of water. So we have in this kind of tight plot, we have a very demanding program. That's interesting because it will become very, very dense. And you can see in the back facade is where it really works and it's organized. And here we will have also the dressing room, the offices of Bruxelles Laïque. So also this facade is the one that makes this building work. The facade actually arrives until here. It has these horizontal windows from Le Corbusier, let's say, but it was never plaster, maybe economical reasons, but it's very interesting. Also the contrast it has, this facade that also will grow with the program. Today is like this. It's very interesting to have this one in relationship to the listed one. And in here is where this, under this Baghdad Cafe, is where this interior promenade starts here. Then leads you, or either you want to go out again or go to the scenario where you also find another shortcut.
Okay, then another of the group of table, one of these interests that we were talking before is what we call the value of use. And the value of use refers to this use that you make to things, not just for this economical value or the market value, but because of the history it comes with it. We have two projects in that table. One is the Utes warehouse, which is probably what Lyndon was referring to when he was talking about the Venturi influence, maybe because this was a very little building that we had to extend. It was an offices and storage, but not from architectural point of view, not so interesting maybe, but it was perhaps the charm of it was because it was so ordinary in the area that it was in architectural in an industrial area. So we thought that we had to keep it and then to extend it on top of it, like with these very, very long legs of concrete, and then wrap around the new storage area, which is what they needed, in fact. So yes, the facade is talking about this scale, the huge scale of the industry that we had in front in that area. But in fact, it's also talking about this textile condition of the clothes that is wrapping around this empty space, which is full of textiles, rolls of textiles there. You see, the inherited building is this little one, but I think what we liked it is precisely this very conventional or ordinary architecture that speaks about all around the neighborhood. So we kept it. We passed the pillars in between. It was very hard to keep that little construction, also very elemental construction, and then sew again all what was have been cut when the pillars have passed through, and then wrapping with this textile corrugated metal steel. So this building, so how was to reuse a fragment of the industrial neighborhood, in fact, not a specific element, even when some of the doors were reused and relocated, but using the staircase, using the little things that we had, everything was recuperated. This is back in 2000. So it was a moment when we started to think in how to reuse and how to recuperate everything that we could. And then more and more it came an issue in our work. So the other one was, which was much more intense, was the Sala Beckett project in Barcelona. And in that case, we had, for economical reasons also, but because it was what we inherited, a lot of materials and things from a former cooperative building that had to become the drama center Sala Beckett. So when we won the competition, the first thing we did was to spend a lot of time, 3-4 months, drawing everything that we could recuperate from the cooperative. The cooperative was in a very bad state, in a ruined condition. But then there was a part of the building that had all these elements still there. So with almost as a desperate intent of keeping the building with us, we started to draw all the doors, windows, roses, all these platforms, all pavements, staircases, everything that have survived. We did this extensive inventory of elements that we wanted to reuse because we thought they belonged to the story of the building, and they were also part of the moment of the growth of the city, because it was 1920s when all the big grid of the city was built. So these elements are also in our office, not in the same scale. So the building has an industrial scale because it's in an industrial area, but the elements are common for all the city. So they belong in a way to this common memory of the town. So we thought that we wanted to keep all that inside. See, this is the upstairs level of the cooperative. When we enter for the competition, there was rain leaking, and it was a lot full of animals, kind of pigeons and rats and whatever you can imagine there. But still, was the atmosphere of the cooperative was there. All the you could imagine, or you could think in all the lives and the things that have happened there for 100 or 70 years before it closed doors. So the building was closed when the competition came, had been closed for 30 years. The municipality was not taking care of it. It was not listed, was not protected by heritage. So it was up to you in the competition if you wanted to keep it or not. For the future drama center. This was a very crucial decision to do, because even if you liked what we were seeing there, you had the challenge of that if the building was going to resist all the acoustic isolation, the climate, etc., that you had to do for contemporary theater activities. But for us, it was clear that this place was full of the story of the neighborhood and had to be with us and go again into the future. This ray of light that we found when we entered the former stage was really very moving, because you enter to this places where you expect that they will be, you know, you're indoor and suddenly you see the sky and the sun is in, and then it's really moving because you are outdoor again, you are exposed, and you feel like this is a place that in a way, if it's so moving, has to, you can use that emotion for the future of the place. But the ground floor have been destroyed with the years, from the abandonment to the competition. There was a test for a supermarket, that afterwards a sauna, gym, and so on. So the ground floor was really destroyed. Was nothing there to recuperate. So it was this balance between an upstairs where you could have lots of the remains of the cooperative, even if it was closed with the water and so on, and downstairs was nothing. Even the windows have been eliminated, and pavements, decorations, and all. So the project is what we thought is that we had to reuse the spaces, but also communicate to the neighborhood, which was really related from the emotion, and all the memories of the neighborhood were related to the building, because there were many families and neighbors around that were remembering using the cooperative. Their parents or grandparents were members of the cooperative. So we thought this building has to be again part of the neighborhood. So the bar and the restaurant is completely linked to the neighbor streets, and it's a bar that you can enter through different doors without necessarily going to the theater. So you could go to the vestibule, or you could go straight to eat something and go away if you want. That becomes the vestibule, and which becomes the drama rooms. So it's something that in a way everything is linked, but it's not necessarily you have to go to all the places at the time. Just a minute, I have to make an adjustment to the computer. Okay, there we go. There we are. Okay, so I wanted to show you a short video that explains how the thing works. So you have the world of the actor and the public, which is very interesting in theater world, because the actor doesn't want to see the public beforehand. You know, they are very superstitious. So they go hiding to the offices and to the dressing room while you go to pick up your ticket. And then you are waiting in the sofa or in the bar somewhere to your friends before the play starts. So you are in all this public part. And in the meantime, the actor is going to the dressing room and trying to repeat and remember the play. It's very nervous, panicking almost, behind this wall where everything is having fun here. People is there trying to concentrate and not to forget. So it's this double life of the wall. And then at a certain point, you could have a play upstairs in the former theater of the cooperative, which was also a secondary theater space, more experimental, let's say, for smaller, younger companies or more beginners. But it's also very interesting theater to see. So the actor stays here, so we connect, and he stays in the backstage. And then at a certain point, you have the third member or third element here, which is a technician, which is crucial to make everything work. So it goes to the control cabin and makes everything. You see, the places for theater in Sala Beckett are very flexible. They change constantly every 2-3 weeks. The situation of public and audience depends on the playwright and the director that comes every time. So when everything ends, yes, then in that moment, you could find, then the actor can go into the vestibule. It's much more normal that he goes there, and then you find him or her, and then you can meet and say how fantastic it was, and they say no, yes, it was fantastic, all those things. All these things happens very, very clear afterwards, and then eventually everyone, even the technician, end up in the balcony smoking. This is a bit of the theater night. So this is the thing. So when you arrive there, you find the building in ruin almost as it was, because everything is cracked and everything is a bit cured, but not too much. And then you understand that that something happened in the building. So you come into the the bar, and then from the bar you move into the vestibule. Everything is very transparent here, no? So the kitchen becomes, sofa, becomes tickets, becomes staircase, becomes light, becomes ruins again. And everything in a way gets you up into this moment where the building is again with this ray of light in the center, and the motion of the being outdoor is still there. And so this is something that was all the time in our head, how we can keep that ray of light that we found in the scene still there when we finish all this work. And then, but then the new community comes, no? The Sala Beckett comes in and meets the community of neighbors, all the ghosts of the past cooperativists that were there for many years. They are still coexisting. This community of theater people is very active and they work very well, but they can live with all these traces of the sum of lives that have happened. So there's no any race, or there's no one moment on top of another one. You had the moment of the cooperative, and then you have the moment of the degradation, and then you have the moment of the abandonment, then you have the Sala Beckett. Everything is coexisting there, and you can really feel at certain point that you have an affinity, or you can remember something when you look at certain things of the building, and it makes a kind of a reflection in your memories on your past, and then you feel an affinity with the building there. And the last thing I'll explain is this first activity that happened in Sala Beckett. When they came in, they thought that they had to give back the building to the neighbors, and so they called them and they asked if they could explain stories that they remember, or they had their parents remembering saying things about what happened in the cooperative in the past. And they have explained that to the students, and the students 3 months later have transformed that stories, that real stories, into fictions. So they called back all the neighbors, and they represented in 15 places in the whole building what were real stories into new little fictions of a few minutes. So they were acting in the vestibule, acting in the dressing room, acting in the upper patio, which in the queue of the shower apparently was a very good place for gossiping. So they was there also. They were dancing. So it was very moving. All the neighbors were back, and we were also there. And it was like giving back this building to them in a way, making this community in time, this connection of the different lives of the building with a new one that was coming in. And it's in this moment where, like, the speaker comes in and says, attention, attention, the show is going to start.
Atenció, la funció és a punt de començar. Un escenari de cartró que va quedar dipositat davant teu de molt les flaçades. Tenia el taló caigut i et van invitar que tu mateix l'aixequessis. I així vas descobrir, tal com nosaltres ho descobrim ara, tot un univers de rompiments i talons pintats, el mar i el cel, un paisatge infinit dins d'una capsa. Quantitat de personatges habitaven aquell àmbit, hieràtics, però movibles gràcies a unes tixes de cartró fores. Primera vegada. Un moment abans de decidir-te, un moment abans de donar l'ordre, contemplaves l'escenari com ho tornes a fer ara i resolies que tot aquell bullit incipient de formes, figures i colors podia ser la cosa més bonica del món. I és així com et vas perdre, perquè t'havies ficat massa endins. I quan el taló es va tancar, com ho fa ara, es va tancar darrere teu.